What's going on, everybody? Tori McElhaney here for the Falcons in Focus podcast that I have been so excited to bring you guys. Justin Simmons, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped.
Okay, so as everyone knows, this is a podcast about life. Not really about football. There's some football questions here and there.
Yeah.
But thanks to our sponsorship by Ticketmaster, we get to really dive into who you guys are off the field.
Let's do it.
And what I want to start with, we normally don't go in chronological order a lot of times with this. We just kind of like let it flow.
Yeah.
But for your story, I actually want to go a little bit in chronological order.
Let's do it.
So I want to go back to Stuart, Florida. Let's see. What was Martin County Tigers?
Martin County Tigers.
And what I find to be so great about your story's start is how integral your high school years actually, I think, were for setting you up for your future. Because one, you met your high school sweetheart there, first off, which she's fantastic. Honestly,
I agree.
Right, no, I hope you do too. But she, why I know this is because I found a photo of you guys, you and her. You want to tell me about this thing called the Final 8 dance?
Oh no! Did you happen to find footage of this?
I didn't find footage of it.
Good. I hope that's burned.
Photos of it, though.
Yeah, the photos. Photos are okay.
Photos are okay. So for those that don't know what the Final 8 dance is, and your role in this, can you please tell the people?
Yeah, sure. So I can't remember exactly which. I wanted to say it was Homecoming.
Yeah. I do know that much.
It was Homecoming.
Yes,
okay, because it was either Homecoming or, there's the end of the year, like, I forget which one it was. But anyway, okay, so it was Homecoming.
Yes.
So there's a Homecoming and a ballot that goes around the school, and obviously all seniors can be voted. And so once the initial vote goes in, there's a Final 8, 4 boys, 4 girls. And so both Taryn and I were on the final ballot. And so what happens is there's a homecoming, I almost said parade, but that's
like
not
a pep
it.
rally.
Pep rally.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. There's a homecoming pep rally. So the whole school goes in there. Everyone knows when they did high school what pep rallies look like. And then all that happened was like the 4 guys choreographed a dance and the 4 girls choreographed a dance.
Okay, so tell me the process of choreographing this dance and how who won?
It was
it one that y'all came? Did y'all like dance together, or was it like a competition, like boys versus the girls?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was we paired up like 2 and 2. So there was 2 guys with 2 girls and 2 guys with 2 girls, and we kind of did like we did it like the hood versus like the nerds. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how we set it up. So I had like a hat, hoodie. Yeah. Like we were trying to like break dance, and they were trying to be like. At first, it started for them being how do I put, like, they had better posture. They came out like really like over exaggerating.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as the dance went on, we just tried to have fun with it, engage the crowd.
Right.
Then like those dances, they had all those pop dances like.
Well, I saw that yours was like. Teach me how to Dougie.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like those are the ones, lean with it, rock with it. Like
there you go, yeah.
We were just doing all like the staple dances that you should know.
Yeah.
And so it was a great time. I can remember that vividly. Like I have the picture printed in my head.
Do you think you could do the choreography like today? Is it that ingrained in your brain?
Yeah. You want me to? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I could. There's no way.
I would die.
There's
you
no
would just
way.
see me like roll out of the seat.
Yeah, right. No, there's absolutely no way I could do it choreographed right now. We spent a good amount of time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like practicing for that.
No, yeah.
Yeah, we were afraid. We were nervous in front of the whole school.
No, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So it was good.
That's so great. So Taryn is. I thought that it was really cool because I figured she was like pretty awesome, but I guess I didn't realize like how awesome she was. Like, wasn't she like in the 1000 club in basketball? She was like prom queen. She was like
prom. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, prom queen, like homecoming court. Like, she was the business.
Yeah.
She sounds freaking awesome. How? I guess kind of like how are y'all together? Like same but even different as you were back then? Because it's one thing I think to like fall in love when you're super, super young, but then to like build a life together and to change and evolve with each other, I think is so special.
Yeah. Man, we're still learning and evolving as we go. You know, it's crazy because I would say we're very similar. You know, we both grew up in like Christian households, and then we both are, you know, the general mass of our friends would say like we're polite, we're genuine, we're kind, right? Like, so like we kind of have like these same traits going on. I'm a little bit more reserved. She's a little bit more outgoing. And so, yeah. I mean, we met through like mutual friends. My travel basketball coach was her high school varsity basketball coach.
Okay.
So he put on a camp. We meet. We're just friends for a couple years.
And you're like, who's that baller?
Yeah, actually.
Legit?
Like legit. Like, I mean, she pulls it from 3, it's going in. You know
and
what
you're
I mean?
like, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, go watch a couple of her games, and then she had an opportunity to go play in college, and we did long distance. Then we get married, and then, you know, we have kids, and you're just figuring out who you are as life goes on. Kids adds a whole nother dynamic. But, all in all, you know, doing life with someone that you know is like in your corner and is for you, whether you succeed is for you, whether you fail. It's just like the ultimate like stress reliever, you know, like the weight's off your back. And she's just been my rock, you know, here on earth. Just from the beginning. So she's just been awesome.
A true partnership. And I think it's cool too because I found, when I was doing some research, I found the poem that you wrote her when you asked her to prom.
Oh no.
And I think
I don't even remember this.
It's so cute. You said, I hope you say yes because I'm not good at rhymes, but one thing's for sure, I'll be yours for a lifetime.
Come on, man.
You know, like
those snaps for me on that one.
Bars, bro. You're spitting bars. No, it's crazy though that, you know, people say that like, oh, 17, 16, 18, like young love, but like this turned out to be true. Like at what point did you in I guess like your story with Taryn were you like, oh no, this is it?
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Even when writing that, I don't know if I was 100% sure.
Right. Yeah. Young love.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think I really have to pay just like huge homage and testament to like my parents.
For sure.
And I think also even to obviously Taryn and the way that she was raised. I think having the understanding, like I said, growing up in a Christian household and having an image of what like a healthy marriage should look like and what that emulates. I think for me, knowing that like if I'm getting into this sounds really old school what I'm about to say, but if I'm getting into like courtship with someone, you know what I mean? Like this is not something that I'm like, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I'm just kind of feeling this out. It's like, no, hey, I'm in this, you know what I mean? And so I'm committed. No, there's no ebb and flows. There may be up and downs, but there's no deterring from us picking each other and choosing each other every day. And I don't think, you know, for us then, like, you know, we didn't have the visual representation of that, but that doesn't mean we're not committed, whether that was there or not. You know, I think that just is the solidifying term. You know, in the same way when, you know, you get now, not to make this like a like a Christian podcast, but like when you get saved, you know, just because you get baptized, that doesn't mean like, oh, now all of a sudden I'm saved. Like it's a heart posture thing. You know what I mean? So like for us, it was a heart posture thing. Getting married and having the symbolism of being married was like, you know, kind of the cherry on top and solidifying that. But
that's beautiful. I love that. And I'm glad that you brought up your parents because as I was kind of going through research, when you were coming up into high school, your dad was actually a pretty big deal from a football standpoint at your high school. And there was a prevailing comment, I think, that you got a lot, is that like, you're Victor's kid. When you think back to that time, what kind of sticks out to you about, you know, I want to make my dad proud. I want to live up to that moniker, but I also want to kind of carve my own path.
Yeah, no, 100%. I sat down and did something with him. It was like a homecoming deal, and we got to sit down and talk. Like now that I'm in the NFL, and you know, he was a really good high school athlete and college athlete. You know what that looked like. How was it being raised in the same hometown he was in, where he was looked at as the star, and the whole nine. And it was different. It was challenging. My dad was, I always tell people, he was like the LeVar Ball before LeVar Ball became, you know what I mean?
No,
now, obviously, like
very, I saw the quote. He said, I do all the yelling, the hollering, and the bragging so that, like, but they have to be humble.
That's him. That's literally him, Now, obviously, not even, close to the same situation as the Ball family. But what I mean is, like, he would just throw me into the fire. And everyone's like, oh, this is Vic kid. He's going to be the exact same. And we just played completely different styles of football. He was, hard hitting. That old school safety style of play is kind of like how he played. And I was just fascinated with like going to go get the football. Like I'm like, oh, I can play defense and go get the interception.
Almost like a little bit more cerebral.
Yeah, Why wouldn't I do that?
Right.
That seems better for me.
You're like, I'm down to do that.
Yeah. And I just think that threw people off at first. Like it just wasn't the same thing as when they saw my dad play. And so, but I just stayed true to what I did. And the cool thing about my dad was like, he empowered me in that. Was like, you don't need to be me, be you. I believe in you. You believe in yourself, and just go with that and trust that. So it's paid dividends thus far. Right. So I'm very thankful for him. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite story from your dad when you were maybe in high school or even younger years that kind of encapsulate this where he was like, I'm the one who's going to be the vocal leader. Like, I'm the one that's going to get, like, super excited when you make a play, and I'm going to be the one to tell people around town, like, that's my boy. Do you have, like, a memory that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I probably have too many.
I know, I say the same thing. I just have so many. I'm just, like, all the time, like, can I talk about my dad?
Yeah, seriously. I could go on a whole, like, soap opera spree about him. But, yes, I would say there's one that sticks out to me, and it's when I knew, like, oh, I got to trust the process with him because he sounds crazy, but he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So we just moved to South Florida, and he's taking me to his stomping grounds. We get out of the car, we put our bags in like our apartment that we're like staying at part-time.
Right.
And he's like, Justin, come with me. And I'm like, okay. And he like grabs my basketball shoes and we go to Salerno, and we go into like pretty much like the middle of the hood, and we're playing basketball like broad daylight with everyone in Salerno. Like a Saturday afternoon, everyone goes there to go play basketball. Right. And I'm playing with like grown men. We like grown men at the time, like 20 something.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For you as like a 15, 16-year-old?
Grown men.
Yeah.
I don't know any better. Grown men, high schoolers, and then like some kids my age, because I was in middle school then. And so he's like, my son's got next. Like
and you're
I'm like,
oh God.
Come on, man. I get you're from here, and he's dapping everyone up, right, and so then like we play, I'm getting elbowed, shoved to the ground, like the tough love. Like he's introducing me to like, nah, go get it, and I'm like, I don't even want to play anymore. I'm embarrassed. I didn't make any shots. I didn't play well. Then a couple weeks later, I try out for the Murray Middle basketball team, and I'm a sixth grader, and I was the only sixth grader to make the team.
Oh.
Right. And so I was already athletic. Like I could do, some of the things, but like just when I was going through tryouts and I had to play with some older guys, like I wasn't playing with the 7th and 8th graders. Right. Like I was in the tryouts, but a couple weeks prior leading up to it, I was playing with 20-year-olds, high schoolers. Like, so he was already prepped, and I didn't see that when I was in 6th grade. And I get into the car so excited to tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, I made the team. And he looked at me and he's like, what the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. And he just like, that was like his motto, for me all my life. And so, he was awesome. But I remember that story vividly. Like, I'm like, oh, this dude here, this is going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble.
Honestly, like, I think that's like parents putting their kids in situations that'll like help them grow and learn is like all you can ask for. And I found this quote, and I can't remember who said it now that I'm thinking about it. I think it was somebody within the Broncos organization, but they were giving you a compliment that you have an ability to connect with people that's very rare. Do you think that comes from your dad? Because kind of hearing you tell this story where he's going around dapping people up, like he knows everybody, he's talking to everybody, he's very personable. Do you feel like you got that from him?
I do. I do. I always tell people, like, I'm an introvert at heart. I like to just, I just like to have my hood on, like keep to myself.
Okay, I tell people that I'm an introvert with an extrovert like shell.
Yeah.
I can turn it on when I need to, but I need to turn it off to like recharge.
Yep, 100%. And I think he's just always put me in positions where like I've had to be the leader and I've had to do X, Y, and Z. I love leading by example. Like I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do it at a high level. And then, sometimes you just get this overwhelming sense of like, I need to speak up here. And then you have the hoorah speeches. But I think in general, like, watching him, seeing how he operates, because he's an extrovert at its highest level. It made me so uncomfortable. But he just slowly was breaking me out of my shell. And so I obviously know how to operate like at an extrovert level and need to when you're playing football anyways with the communication aspect of it. But so I think I did, learn that from him. And also, you just never know, like I was always raised with like, you never know how much like looking someone in the eye, saying hello and just having a conversation does for someone. It really does matter. And just little things like that my parents kind of taught me and raised me with, and it just stuck with me. So it's like second nature now, not just passing by like a quick, look someone in the eye, talk to them, have a conversation. It's okay. It'll be all right.
Yeah, it's like your head's not going to fall off.
It'll be all right.
It's going to be okay.
Exactly.
I want to stay in this kind of realm of thought where you're talking about like your hometown and the connections that you made.
Let's do it.
Now, is it true that you had a sandwich named after you?
Oh, Mike Rinaldi.
Yes?
They're great sandwiches, by the way.
Okay.
If you ever are in Port Salerno, Stuart, Florida, his shop's in Jupiter now, which is close.
Okay,
but,
so Rinaldi's
yes,
is a sandwich shop.
It is.
And you had a sandwich called the J. Sims.
I did.
Can you tell the people okay, first off, I have a few questions about the sandwich. One, this was like a place that you would go to frequently in high school.
Yeah.
How did the process go along? Like, did he just come up to you and be like, hey, man, like, I know you get this every single time you come in here. Like, what's the process?
So Mike's the man. First of all, he's got to be one of the like jolliest humans I've ever met. Like he's just in pure joy mode 24/7. So Rinaldi's was a sandwich shop that was close to our high school, and I don't know if it was like this at every high school, but we literally lived like our high school was positioned like right down the street from like a super shopping mall spot. So like there was restaurants everywhere. So like when it was time to go to lunch and you had an off-campus pass and you could drive, you just popped over, 45-minute lunch break. So you pop over, grab something. So a lot of us would go to Mike's. And I say all this to say, like, I used to go to Mike's all the time, and it used to be, for some reason, it was called Row 3. That's the sub. That was what it was called. So I used to get the Row 3 all the time. It's like, I'm one of those guys that, like, I don't really switch up. I go to a restaurant, I find, I find something I like. I'm like, I'm gonna try something different, and I get there. No. I get the same thing.
Like, I can't do
so I just kept getting the Road 3, and I couldn't even tell you, to be completely honest, like it's like bacon, mayo, it's like toasted. I think there's lettuce, there's chicken.
I think I saw it was like a little bit of buffalo chicken.
Yeah, I know it's buffalo chicken.
And mozzarella cheese.
Yeah. And he toasts it, and it's just like, it's so good. It's so good. I don't know how he does it. And then so what you do is like he's always like you get a sub and a handshake. That's like his thing. Oh, so he hands you your sub and he's like, thank you so much, and firm handshake. And so so after a while, like I got that for I don't know, like 2 years straight. Junior and senior year, I went off campus 2 years straight, almost like every day.
That's what you
I'm
got.
getting the Road 3 sub. Go off to college, I would come back, occasionally go see him, go to the pros, come back on the off season, occasionally go see him. And then one off season I come back and he's like, I'm gonna change the sub to your name. And I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna come get it. So now it's number 31 on the list. There's 100+ subs on there, and it's called the J. Sims.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
That's so much. Sub. Honestly, if I ever get down there,
please, it's great. It's great. Get it. You'll love it.
So I'm really kind of, I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your faith, because I know that's such a huge part of your life. And is it true that you and your dad were actually baptized together? I love that. The reason I ask is because my grandfather was like brimstone fire Baptist preacher in the South, and like he baptized me. So I relate to the like having the family connection to your faith and everything like that.
So good.
But what role did your father play in establishing your faith? And also, even now that he's no longer here physically, how does he continue to shape that?
Yeah, so good. That's a great question. So my family, my mom and my dad, if you can't tell, my mom is white, my dad is black. And so, when they were dating and they were in courtship, there was a lot of tension on both sides of their families. Yeah. Like, no, we don't really agree with this. And so that's a tough place to be. And so, they didn't have family to fall back on. So like naturally they kind of just fell into a relationship with the Lord as like their rock and foundation. And that's how I was raised. I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger brothers. So that's kind of how we were raised. And then once I became of age and I kind of understood like what a relationship with the Lord looked like, I understood the basics of my faith. And I would, told my dad, I'm like, man, I would love to get baptized. Excuse me. And he was like, I would love to get baptized with you. Because he had been baptized, but then he had like walked away and then like refound his faith when he was with my mom and the whole nine, but hadn't got like baptized for it. Because like as I was saying earlier, baptism is just an outward expression from an inward decision, right? And so he's like, man, I would love to. And so we got baptized in my grandma's church, Southern Baptist Church in Tallahassee, where on the sheet it says from 8 to 10, but you're there from 8 to 12:30.
Oh yeah, and you're there all the time. And like they have, my grandfather's church had what they called supper night, which was like every you're there all day. You're there all the time, and you're eating constantly. Oh my goodness, yes, you're eating all the time. You're there all day, and so that was what I grew up with at church. So then we got baptized together, and and to get to your question about just like how he shaped like kind of like my life, and I learned so much from him. There are so many things that I didn't even know about my dad until he passed, about like generational curses that he was breaking. Yeah. A lot of things, because he didn't have a dad when he was growing up, and like just the way that he operated, nothing was perfect in our house. Nothing ever is. He was my coach my whole. He was hard on me all the time. But now, like as I'm older, I have young children, and just like seeing how he operated, man, I'm so beyond thankful for him. I said it in like pretty much like my eulogy to him when I was at his funeral. I was like, man, I'm so thankful for you for like saving my life, introducing me to life with Christ. I'm thankful for the generational curses that you broke. And, I promise to continue like the legacy of passing this down to my kids and from our kids to theirs, and then so on and so forth. And so he's just been, an instrumental, solid foundation in my life from day one. And I'm just beyond thankful for him. And obviously all that starts with being baptized, but having him as a figure in my life for so long, I've learned so much from him. And like you said, I'm still learning things as I go too. Of course, yeah. And I saw you had posted or something along the lines of like, what I do in my life is to not prove haters wrong, it's to prove my dad right and what he believed of me. How do you feel like you live that out at this juncture in your life? Yeah. It's good. It's like that to me is like a constant reminder of like what you're filling your head with and who you're allowing to like have headspace, in your own headspace, and who you're having write your narratives for you and things like that. And I think everyone says that, right? Like my haters are my motivators. And I've always like questioned, not that that's a bad thing. I think for me though, I'm just like, I don't really want to listen to like my haters, because they're always gonna have them. Yeah. Like no matter how good, like LeBron has haters, right? You know what I mean? And like you're like, come on. Yeah. Like there's always gonna be haters. So I don't need to listen to the hate to know that I have haters. Like I know that you're gonna have haters no matter what you do, playing professional sports, doing podcasts, like whatever you do. Especially in this day and age where everybody has the opportunity to voice their opinions. Yes. You're gonna hear it, right? And so for me, I'm like, my motivation, man, I want to prove the people that are in my corner right. And my dad was always like, and you saw from the loudest of loud people, like in my corner, like my son's gonna get this done. He can do this, he could do that, da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prove him right. He believes in me this much, I'm gonna prove him right. So
that was like always like, I always wanted to manifest that in myself, right? And I'm gonna pass that on, like to my kids, and so that's always been a huge blessing to me, having that as like my like my motivational factor. And in terms of like how is it going now, I think it's still going. I think like all things, nothing's perfect. You always wish you could have, like even in football, a playback, a series back, whatever the case may be. But I would say like just being written off pretty much like my whole career, my whole life, and being where I am now, not at all satisfied, but knowing that like I'm proving him right each day, that I get to step in and play on the field, and I'm having a successful marriage. I'm having, I have kids. Like there's so many factors in my life that he was just supportive and there for me when a lot of people weren't, and it's just proving him right.
Oh, I love it. I think there's so much power in that, and thank you for sharing that, because I know it's not easy to talk about.
Yeah.
But I truly appreciate it, and I know we need to wrap up the podcast. So what we do to end on a fun note, we have a game that we play. It's rapid fire questions. Everybody gets kind of the same general question. The first 4, everybody has the same questions. The last one is kind of tailored to you.
Okay.
So you ready?
So 4 general questions. Last one's tailored to me.
Yes, correct.
All right, I'm ready. Rapid fire.
All right.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay. Favorite play of your career?
The blocked extra point against the Saints my rookie year, and we returned it for 2 to win the game.
There you go.
My favorite one.
Okay. Favorite athlete regardless of sport?
Kobe Bryant.
Okay, yeah, Kobe for sure.
Yeah.
We've talked about LeBron and Kobe in the same podcast, which I think is like that's pretty crazy.
Come on.
I mean,
it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. What is a TV show and or movie that you would recommend to the people?
Oh, I have so many. Dark Matter. I just watched it recently. It's on Apple TV.
I was about to say I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about time travel. If I had to say movie, also in the time travel range, I would say Tenet. Blows your mind. It's an unbelievable movie.
Well, that leads kind of into our next one. If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have?
Mine's easy. I've always been a Flash guy, so I'm speed. I want to have super speed. Enough speed I can even time travel. That type. So it ties in a little bit.
It does. That makes sense. Because technically the Flash does time travel multiple times.
Yeah.
He's jumping through many dimensions.
Yeah. It's crazy. The whole thing.
No, I love it. And then last question.
Okay.
Who on the team who doesn't have kids? I feel like that's an important one. Who on the team who doesn't have kids would you allow to babysit yours? And I've seen your kids; they're adorable. Justin showed me their Halloween costumes a couple weeks ago, and they were inside out, and they were so cute.
Yeah. Yep. Put me on the spot. Okay. Who doesn't have kids? I would allow to watch my kids.
Because I would say,
such a tough question.
I know it's hard because I would say like normally I would feel like I'll just say Jesse.
Because like you'll have that was my first one.
I know, but he has a kid.
I know.
So,
just a little boy.
So I'm thinking like in the DB rooms, guys who don't have kids, like Clark. But
Clark's about to have a baby.
I know he's about to, but he's not there yet.
Does that count? I feel like
he's not. He's not a father yet, so he doesn't have practice yet with his own children.
Okay. Well, just to be safe, I would have said Clark.
Right. Okay.
But if I had to absolutely give like a different answer, I'd probably say Zach. Harrison.
Really?
I would.
Okay, I've had a conversation with Zach Harrison about how much he doesn't like kids.
Oh, never mind. I would.
Hold on. I will say babies. He was like, I'm a little afraid of babies because he was like, I'm really big and they're really small.
They're really small. Yeah, he could just hold them like that, maybe on like 2 fingers
right,
actually.
I
would pick Zach. I'd pick Zach.
That's a great answer because I think I feel like Zach can handle himself, and he's a big enough presence that they won't mess with him.
Yeah. He'll have the authoritative presence about him. He'll get stuff done. And he's a good time. He's a good dude, man. I love Zach.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me and for chatting with the people as well. The guys, you can check out our entire podcast channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pod, anywhere that you can get your podcast. This has been the Falcons in Focus podcast brought to you by Ticketmaster. Justin Simmons, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Until next time.